our next speaker is, there he is, Dave. Hey, Dave. So Dave is a principal at Baker Tilly, another awesome organization. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to waste any time. I'm just going to give the stage right over to, whoops, I guess I'm going over this way to Dave.
Yeah, thank you, Dustin. Appreciate everybody's time and giving me the opportunity to talk here a little bit about Baker Tilly, kind of roles within Baker Tilly and where we see things going. So really quick on my background, I've been in the data and analytics space now going on 20 plus years. I actually kind of fell into it. I was a CPA, or at least I passed the exam. And before I got to practice my 1,000 hours, I think it takes to get licensed, I started to do software development and realized I liked that much better. I ended up at a small consulting firm that got acquired by a big consulting firm. I went out on my own for 5 years. I started my own firm. I sold my firm, and now here I am at Baker Tilly. Baker Tilly is the 8th largest public accounting firm in the United States. We have roughly 6,000 employees, and we're continue to grow, continue to push. I'm specifically within our digital group, and I run our data solutions area. So I'll kind of leave that as my introduction. Kind of what I want to talk about a little bit is what are the different types of roles and things that we see in the data space. There's really two parts of that. There's internal is how we're trying to drive and leverage data, and then there's within professional services and the kind of things that we do for our clients. So I'll talk really quick about some of the internal things that we're doing. Internally at Baker Tilly, we're looking at data like any other organization would. We're looking at it from an operational perspective. How do we make sure that we're effectively running our projects? How do we make sure that we're satisfying the needs of our clients? How are we being fiscally responsible as a partner organization? All of those things that you would think of in any traditional organization. We're also looking at a lot of market research and things to help us drive our practices. So we have a pretty heavy vision and look at data through our growth strategies organization that gives us all the kind of market intelligence, everything from what PE firms are buying, what portfolio companies, and how are those related, and how do I analyze my revenue by geography across those so I know how to better target services that I want to deliver out into the market. We have our internal kind of accounting functions that are helping us do analytics. And then we have a more broad piece that's starting now that I'm really excited about and actually get to be engaged in, which is our efforts around data monetization. So we're looking at it as an organization saying, look, we understand how to bring together disparate pieces of information. As an example, within our healthcare practice, we bring together Medicaid data, Medicare data, and we help use that information to inform our clients on what's happening. And we can do a lot more of that, I think, across different industry groups. So we have an active effort right now and actually an open role for a director of data monetization that's out there where we're trying to understand how do we take data and actually use it as a product we're bringing back into the market. So I think that's kind of a fun area. So those are some of the inside things that we're doing with data, again, running the business, and then on the advanced end, kind of doing this data monetization piece. For clients, we're covering everything that people have talked about here and a little bit of strategy work. So we have data analysts on the team who do exactly the roles that other folks have talked about, except we're doing those in a number of different client scenarios. We have data scientists on team. They get to do some fun work around forensic analysis. So myself and others have actually had, I don't know if we want to call it an opportunity or not, to be deposed in part of cases as we go in and we talk about what we're finding in the data and how does that data support a given case that somebody is trying to make. We're using data science to help community-based organizations. We have 2 primary nonprofits where we're looking at how do they distribute what are the resources that they're stewards of, how do they best distribute those in their community. And we have another organization that we're working with, we're helping them kind of identify how to get back to some recreational sports programs and drive participation. So a lot of different interesting things across all those roles: data analysts, data scientists. We have data engineers who will work on really large, kind of interesting projects, moving data from A to B for big organizations. We're working with one of the largest organizations in Wisconsin right now, trying to push them over the finish line of a big ERP migration. So really, when you talk about kind of working at a client site and being able to interact there from a professional services experience, but I'd say the difference is there's a lot of variety, all kinds of industries you get to work with. The hard skills stay the same. All those hard skills in the jobs reports are there, but we're moving from project to project. We have to onboard very quickly. We have to learn the business very quickly. We have to build confidence quickly. So those are some of the kind of fun things that we get to do from a professional services perspective. Kind of the vision that we see as we're looking out there as an organization, and where we're trying to go, and where honestly I think a lot of organizations are going to move to once they have a lot of the operational analytics nailed down. They're going to look at two primary areas for it, and you could kind of lump it into this notion of data monetization, but they're going to look at how do they actually digitally transform their organization. I mentioned really quickly this community-based youth sports organization. They are trying to transform themselves. They're trying to use the data to better understand how they target communities, how they drive participation, how they get volunteers engaged. If they can do this and reverse the trend that they've been seeing in their participation rates, they will completely transform the organization by taking a view on just how they score different elements of that, and then pay attention to the right things. Monetization is another one that continues to crop up as organizations realize that they're collecting these vast amounts of data. How do they really contribute and drive value to it? Not just monetizing it as selling it into the marketplace and trying to get a revenue stream from it, although that is there, but that doesn't have to be a direct sale. That can be adding on to a different product. All of us now have smart devices and things that are driven by data. We have consumer goods organizations that we work with who are leveraging IoT to give back feedback and metrics. If you have a new car, you're getting things that tell you, hey, you need service at this time. Those are the types of monetization ideas that organizations are looking for, besides just driving down costs, which is also a big factor. So I know I went through it pretty quick, trying to pull some time back here for a few minutes, but I just wanted to open that door that when you think about roles and careers in analytics, one, I saw a lot of questions early. You don't have to start with a data and analytics degree. I mean, within our organization, I have people that have a music degree. I have lots of people that have engineering degrees. My lead actually has a theater degree. So there's all kinds of opportunities within professional services. And I think data and analytics in general, if you learn the hard skills, you start to go back and kind of understand the other pieces the presenters have talked about. Be a constant learner. You have to always be learning. If you're a constant learner, you have that thirst for it, that thirst for knowledge, you can move forward in a lot of these areas.
Thank you so much, Dave. That was awesome. I don't think I'm on mute this time. So
Nope.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Just one follow-up question. I'll summarize kind of what I've seen from several questions over the course of this sessions so far while you were speaking, and when Anju and Mark were speaking as well. And that is kind of, if you don't have all of the hard skills that you see in a job posting around analytics or data science, what's, from your perspective, someone that's hired a lot of folks into roles, what's kind of that one or two things that's kind of, if you think 80-20 rule, like that's the 80% that you're looking for?
I'll hit it in two pieces. Well, one, and give you one example because of the time. It's a growth mindset. That is the most important thing. We know the skills are changing and moving all of the time. So we want people with a growth mindset. As an example, I had somebody once where I asked him, I said, give me a project or a research thing that you've done outside of work that demonstrates some of your technical skills. And he's like, well, I don't know if this is a silly example, but my dog ate my remote and I needed a solution for that. So what I did, I had a Raspberry Pi and I had the radio frequency piece to it. And so I wrote an app on my phone to use the Raspberry Pi as a remote control. I was like, sold. Come on in. Like, we can teach you other things, but that aptitude to kind of mess with that and tinker, that's great.
That's awesome. No, that's a really cool example. I love that. So Tally summarized it here. Growth mindset. Think of those real examples, real life applications, of how you can apply your skills to solve a problem. Thanks so much, Dave. Really